President Bola Tinubu arrived in Maiduguri, Borno State yesterday to commiserate with the government and people affected by the recent flood disaster. He visited an emergency camp, assuring displaced persons of government support. The severe flooding has claimed at least 30 lives, displaced 414,000 people, and affected 40% of the city. The UN Refugee Agency described it as the worst flooding in 30 years.
Meanwhile, there are reports of an impending flood in Kebbi State. The northern state has constituted a 16-member committee to mitigate the effects of an impending flood expected to hit some local government areas. The committee comprises commissioners from various ministries, the chairman of Kebbi State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, and other stakeholders. We're joined this morning by a senior lecturer in the Department of Geography, Federal University Birnin Kebbi, Dr. Ishiaku Ibrahim. Good morning, Dr. Ishiaku. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Thank you for having me.
All right. I think we'll start with the flooding in Borno State. Let's talk about what exactly your thoughts are regarding how we've handled it and how well it could have been prevented. There have been different reports about what exactly led to that flooding, the breaking of the dam, and some saying that there hasn't really been structural maintenance, and the blame has been shifting back and forth. So what are your thoughts regarding the flooding, and how well do you think we could have prevented it?
To me, at the moment, I think the authority are doing their best. However, the flooding in Maiduguri, an issue that was anticipated through early warning, that the intensity of the rain have increased, and of course you expect that there will be rise in the river, and possibly the available dam will overflow. Now, the issue therein is that when you have an early warning, is to give community authority an opportunity to prepare for the danger to come. So I would say that that early warning haven't been taken into consideration the way it should have been. If it were, then we shouldn't be in the situation where we are today.
When you talk about early warnings, what do you expect to be the response, from government and of course from the people, if there's an early warning from NIMET, that there will be flooding? And of course, let's use Borno State as an example.
Okay. If there is an early warning where you expect a flooding in the environment, normally what needs to be done is that area that are vulnerable to such flooding is expected to be marked out. And what needs to be done is that the community along that corridor, effort should be put in place to relocate them to a safer environment. Has that been done? At the moment, are we arguing the negative?
So would you say that it is some level of negligence by the Borno State government or by NEMA, but mostly by the Borno State government, to not have taken steps after those early warnings were given to protect the people of Borno State? And just to keep in mind, the chairman, I believe, of the Chad Basin Development Authority had gone for an assessment of the Alo Dam and got back to the governor and said that there was nothing to worry about. That was on the 6th of September, a couple of days before the city got completely flooded. So again, is it negligence on the government's part? Is it failure of the assessment of the Alo Dam, or just complete negligence to have left the people there and not taken actions after those early warnings were given?
Well, it will be difficult to point accusing finger to a particular level of government. What we should bear in mind is that it is not only about the government. Like I said, the early warning should give individual, community, as well as authority, be it at whatever level. Now, if there's a failure, I will argue that it's a collection of failure, right from individual up to the highest authority.
All right, let's take the conversation now to Kebbi and the prediction of rainfalls. NIMET has predicted that there will be a flooding, and there's been a 16-member committee that has been set up to mitigate this flooding. We have another chance to actually prepare. How well would you say that this committee is faring? How would you say that the state government is adequately prepared to cater to this impending flood?
For the system committee, I think it's a kudos to the government to have set up that committee to look into the area likely to be affected and see what can be done before the time. However, I am of opinion that we should begin to empower institutions. I do know that at the federal level, we have NEMA, and at the state level, we should have a similar agency. So we can empower those institutions so that whether it is training and retraining on how to manage such disaster before, during, and after, I think it will be a proper way to go. However, it's still commendable that we have this committee in place. Possibly in the coming days, we'll witness action that evacuate community at the line of danger.
The Borno State government did set up a committee. The committee came back and, of course, gave its report. Kebbi State government has once again set up a committee. And, of course, you know, we saw how Borno State turned out. The Kebbi State government has set up its own committee, 16-member committee, to, of course, you know, bring its own findings. So, of course, you know, what we're hoping now is that, you know, the findings will be adhered to. And, of course, you know, whatever it is that the committee finds out, you know, would be sufficient to protect the lives of the people of Kebbi State if there is going to be an impending flood. But here's the thing. In 2023, same September 2023, there was a flood disaster in Kebbi State. Loads of houses were destroyed. I think some lives were actually were also lost in 2023. What has been different in the government's approach between then and now?
At the moment, at least, we have a committee indicating that the government is trying to be proactive. But before now, normally, what we experience are always after flood management, and that shouldn't be the case. The management should start right from the pre-flooding, during the flooding, and also after the flooding. So I think having this committee in place before the impending flood would kind of give a deviation from the past, where you wait until the flood happened before you constituted a committee to see how they can provide a lifeline for the people.
Yeah. I do want us to look at why exactly we keep going through these cycles. Earlier in the year, sometime in, I think it was in June, we had flooding in Abuja. We've seen that there are some states that are flood-prone states in the past few years. Why is it that we keep waiting till when there is an announcement by NIMET, and then we set up a committee and we go over these cycles again? And in many cases, the flooding will still happen, and we'll find out that we're still inadequately prepared. Why do we keep waiting for these cycles? What factors need to be put in place to ensure that we don't go through this cycle, rinse, repeat every year, same time, or, you know, just basically a rinse and repeat situation that we've seen in Nigeria. What factors do we need to put into consideration to ensure that in 2025, we're not going to be talking about this same flooding and setting up another 16-member committee to ensure that the flood doesn't happen and that people aren't killed and that crops aren't destroyed, whereas in 2024, chances are that it may have happened, in the same way?
Yes. To answer your first question, because it's a loaded question. The issue is this: we now have NAMET that give early warning, but the utility of those weather information is another issue. How do we pass the information down to the local level? Is it the responsibility of the local government? Is it National Orientation Agency? Is it the NAMA itself or the State Emergency Management Agency? Whose responsibility is it? So how do we get those information down to the local level? How do we sensitize the people about the coming of the danger? That is one. Number two, how can we avoid this? I think somehow there's just no one-way direction. It's a combination of effort. Like in urban environment, it could be an engineering solution. But basically, when you're talking about local community, like in the case of Kebbi here, those areas that are liable to flooding need to be marked, and effort should be made to evacuate the people in those environments. Because as it is, right from 2012, what we have had across Nigeria has been an annual event of flooding. So authority concerned need to be at their best at this moment and in the moment to come, that everything that needed to be done to get these people out of the danger environment should be done, and this should begin now.
All right. I'm guessing, we're just going to have to be positive about this, because, from the way you've explained it, it doesn't seem like a lot has actually been done. We're going to wait for the committee to bring its findings to the government in Kebbi State and hope that they take action, where necessary. I saw a report, that said that, between the flood of 2022 and 2023, there was no change in the budget for Kebbi State to allocate for, of course, more fund preparation, erosion mitigation, gutters, whatever, drainage systems, whatever it is that would be necessary to, of course, assist the state in 2023. Not much was changed in the budget. And so I don't know if there's been any change for the 2024 budget after the flood in 2023. I'm not expecting that there has been. But do you have any information on that? Did the 2024 budget for Kebbi State have more to mitigate against flooding?
No, I'm not too sure about 2024 budget, but what I'm sure about is the infrastructure, particularly at the metropolis. There have been a lot of engineering work, particularly drainages across the state metropolis. And one can boldly say that Kebbi State as a capital is not impossible, but it will be rare to experience flooding. However, the challenge therein is that when you evacuate water at the center or at the capital or at the city, the question then is, what happened to that water? Where does it go? So now that brings us to the dam communities that are along the river. What happened to them? So one can say that in planning, although we are witnessing changes in the capital, but one can say in planning, we need to be holistic. That so that we don't evacuate water at the center and people at the downstream at the receiving end of what we are enjoying at the capital. So,
All right.
but specifically, the 2024 budget amount allocated to environmental disaster, that I cannot, I'm not too sure about the figure.
Okay. All right. Time will tell. And of course, we wish the people of Kebbi State the very best. We hope that the government takes whatever steps is necessary to protect them, from any impending flood disasters that may arise. Dr. Ishiaku Ibrahim, thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you for having me.